Yeah.
Things are good as long as there's no white stuff on the roads.
Yeah.
This time of year, that makes everything more difficult.
Yes.
We haven't had much rain, not much mud. That's
I tell you, that rain we got over was.
Well, you know, it's when I grew up in Fort Worth, it seems like a lot.
you did. I heard 16 inches, that's all I heard.
Because we got all the inch ball a little bit more.
It's two. It was well needed though.
Yeah.
That's
We got it there.
Couple days, wind blowing.
Yeah. We grew up on really close to stuff.
That's okay.
Pretty good, Mark, yourself?
Doing good.
How's life in Mark now?
It's wonderful.
Good.
Just right
I
there.
had lunch earlier with Jim White.
You did?
We were finishing up and their head came in, so. I see tomorrow of you today.
I was in heaven. That's
Good. No, we kicked off first meeting, everything went real well.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I guess I'll just have to show up next and stir up some trouble.
Very much.
I'm very excited to hold up.
We did get one sign, didn't we, Brian?
Yeah, we did.
We did get one sign.
It was more of it was a nice one, and it wasn't, a protest or anything. It was good.
Just look at somebody else who would.
Well given, well received.
Act like
It's
it's
not
right.
as easy as it did in the middle of, like,
Yeah, I heard things about that.
looked like you got a little excited.
Y'all finished serving, but I'm going to go over to town council meeting.
Is that right? How was things there?
I don't know how I saw that, but
I was like, oh, I saw it.
Yeah.
part of my algorithm.
They're going through their process for. I guess they just haven't spent the time to work through the issues, perhaps.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
We ready to go?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Please join us in the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next is the adoption of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, we need to add an item to the agenda. I had sent around a banking resolution. Each of you will see, and I put one in your place today. As we get into this officer elections, Mr. Gaskins will be leaving RSA as employee early in February, so we needed to update our banking resolution. And so I need to add that as item 7H, if possible.
7H.
Yes, lead line service, the lead service line.
Okay, then bump everything else.
Bump
up.
everything else down.
Okay.
We can make that item 7H.
Okay. Any other changes or motion to approve?
Move to approve as amended.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Next up is the 2026 RSA officer elections.
Yes, sir. As our bylaws state, this is our annual meeting. We need to select for this coming year chairman, vice chairman, secretary treasurer, and assistant secretary treasurer. Those posts are currently filled by Mr. Johnson, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Coppedge is vice chair, myself as secretary treasurer, and Mr. Gaskins as assistant secretary treasurer. You need to choose a slate of officers for 2026.
Okay,
We have a name, I assume we're not going to reappoint Mr. Gaskin since he's
No, Mr. Gaskins.
leaving us, so we have a name to plug in there.
I would recommend Mr. Gerald as the Assistant Secretary Treasurer, as the Assistant General Manager, he would fill that role.
Okay.
I'd like to, you ready for a motion?
Sure.
Nominate Chairman Mark Johnson, Vice Chairman, myself, Secretary Treasurer Tim Clement, and Assistant Secretary Dave Gerald.
Okay, is there a second to that nomination?
Second to that nomination.
Any other nominations? Okay, all in favor of the nomination, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you all. Approval of minutes, December 18, 2025. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. There being no old business, we'll go to new business. First up is public comment. Okay,
None, Terrence.
no public comment. Customer requests.
We do not have any today, Mr. Chairman.
Comments from the board.
I have a couple of questions. Mr. Clemens, I had a couple of customers come to me in the last couple of weeks pretty upset. They had received notices that their service was going to be shut off for non-payment, and they both were certain that they had paid. One customer was told that there were something like 80 checks that were mistakenly shredded before they were deposited. I don't know if that's true or not. But my one question is, what is our termination process? And secondly, did we have such a snafu in the office for checks?
Disconnection is, if it's, the account's overdue by 2 months, they're subject to disconnection. And we did have a check shredding snafu. Staff were shredding old checks and they grabbed a stack of new ones. They personally called everyone that was in that list to let them know. And the ones they couldn't reach by phone, they left a voicemail and followed up with an email.
Then how did the termination email come in what seemed like less than 60 days?
We don't cut off until they hit a 60-day mark. We don't do it at 30 days. We give them 2 full months before we would get to that, and then we notify them ahead of time, again, that they're on the cutoff list, give them an opportunity to come and pay.
Did you all see the email that went out?
Which email? To the customers?
Saying that they'd be shut off?
I mean,
It's an automated email, goes out. One goes out 10 days before the due date for people subject to disconnection. And then one goes out after the day after the due date to let them know they're still subject to disconnection.
So if you would send them to us, we would be more than happy to talk with them.
Okay, I'll do it. And I'll forward, one of them sent a copy of the email to me, and it was, the termination date would have been only 30 days after the payment that they supposedly missed.
Send that to us.
I will.
We'll take a look at that.
Okay, thank you.
Normally, we do not do any kind of cutoffs until after there's 60 days in the
Okay, thank you.
How many checks were shredded? Good checks.
It was a bunch. How many would you say?
Between 40 and 50, I would say.
When did that happen?
November.
I believe it was November 20th.
So there's, the 60-day deadline is now approaching us from that date. Have you been able to make contact with, well, you said some you were, some you weren't. Have most of those accounts been corrected?
Yes.
Yes, and we even paid, we had some people that complained, and it was our fault, staff member made a mistake, so people were upset about, having to have checks terminated or whatever. We reimbursed them, any bank fee, they had to do that.
No.
And we tried to make it as palatable as possible, given that it was out of state.
This takes time to work through.
So would it be that one of these people whose check was shredded, at this point, they should not have even gotten to those, should they? Because not enough time has passed.
Well, if that check was covering the previous month, then they would be, because we have some customers that pay just right at the due date for the previous month to stay connected.
60 days late all the time.
Okay, yeah.
And so, if they were already at the 60-day point and 60 more days had passed, then they would be at that point, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, we do have some that stay right at the limit all the time. Again, if Mr. Davis can pass us that information, we can check into that further. Thank you.
Any other comments from the board? Employee recognition, Trace Gaskins.
Yes, sir. I did want to recognize that Trace has been with us now for 12 years, but will be leaving to go back to, he's taking a job down in South Carolina. We will miss him. And, just wanted to recognize that fact. I'll do that.
Okay. And we do have a plaque here for Mr. Gaskins. I'll read it and I'll walk down and present it to him. Do we have somebody take a picture?
David.
Okay. 12 years of service, the Rapidan Service Authority extends their sincere thanks for 12 years of dedicated service to Trace Gaskins, 2014 to 2026. And I know anytime I've had a question, Trace has been very good about answering it. So we'll miss him. We're sorry you're leaving. You show a certain lack of judgment going to South Carolina.
3, 2, 1. It's just in case.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Trace. Good luck.
I'd like to just reiterate that anytime I've had a question, since Tracy's been here, always been on top of it. If he didn't have an answer, he got an answer pretty quick, and appreciate all the working with you and all the work you've done for us over the years. Wish you the best in whatever chapter's next.
Also nice that when he gave you an answer, he was always right. Happen in and come back and say, okay, all right, wilderness consent order update.
Yes, Mr. Gerald's going to cover that quickly with you.
So I have a few items back to back. We'll try to skip through them as quickly as we can. Of course, we entered into a consent order with the State Board of Health back in June of last year. As part of that process, we worked with the local EDH field office to come up with a corrective action plan and a schedule. We submit quarterly updates detailing progress we've made toward achieving those objectives. The second and most recent update was prepared earlier this month, and it's shared on pages 6 to 8 of the report packet. We also published those updates as well as other documents related to the consent order on our website for any member of the public to view. So if you have any questions about that, I can answer those. I wasn't planning on going through each of the items, but I certainly can. And then like that.
Okay, any questions on that item?
It's like for me, we're up to speed on staying on track to complete them as required. The ones we haven't completed, we're on track to complete by the deadline.
We're moving along well. The longest one is going to be the asset management plan. We're still working on data collection. I think we'll end up getting a consultant to help us put that plan together because we do want it to be as comprehensive as possible. I mean, that dictates how we maintain our assets going well into the future. So we want to make sure that was right. Yes.
Yeah, a question on that. Since that is such a long runway, will we get any sort of interim updates? Like, are you starting with the major assets, and will you be able to report anything to the board before?
We started with our assets out in the field, so our pipes, valves. There's plenty of data left to collect on those. We have to do all of our condition assessments. We're working on the plant data collection now. Yes, we can come back with some reports to keep you all updated as we move along. That for sure.
Yeah, it might be a good idea to maybe, every 6 months or so, if it's completed, just
Sure.
get back to us. Okay, next item was the capital projects update.
Right. So I've listed, it's not an exhaustive list here of all the capital projects we're working on. These are meant to be the projects with the most public interest, which happen to also be the projects with the lowest price tags. So Madison, of course, the Madison wastewater plant upgrade. We're working now with the county to respond to their site plan comments. We're within a couple of days of having a full response on that. I don't foresee any major issues there. We should be able to get that approved soon. Listed some cost information there. We're expecting the grant to come in around $3.2 million, which is an increase from the initial agreement. And that's just based on the cost of the project being higher than what we initially estimated. So the grant is based on the actual cost of the project as it's implemented. As soon as we have that site plan approval, the contractor can start with demolition and getting everything scheduled for the bring up the tanks and the other work there. I'll just note that there's a force main and outfall to the Robinson River. It is not part of this project, but it will be required in order to increase the capacity. We're hoping, after staff works through all easement discussions with landowners, that we'll be able to get that project finished up around the same time as the plant update is done, which should be in the third quarter of next year. In orange, the Route 20 metering and pressure reduction vault. This project is going to allow us to purchase water from the town of Orange with our existing contract. We're waiting now on materials to come in. We've already had a site visit with the town of Orange to talk about the shutdowns that are going to be necessary. And as soon as our materials come in, we should get started on that. And it won't take very long. I think we'll be finished in the second quarter of this year. Next project is Lake of the Woods vacuum sewer monitoring. So this goes back to the 2024 study that we did on the vacuum system for Lake of the Woods. There was a recommendation made to install a monitoring system on some of the higher risk sites in Lake of the Woods that could impact surface water. So we put together an invitation bid on that project. We actually opened those bids yesterday, and we had 2 contractors, the 2 manufacturers actually, that bid on that project. We've worked with both of them pretty extensively over the past decades, so we're confident with their quality of work. Staff is working through our scoring matrix now, and I think most likely next month we'll come back with some sort of recommendation, either to award or to reconsider our approach. We're happy with both of those proposals.
Just a quick question on that. How are those powered?
So there's a battery on board. It's very low power application. So the battery will last about 5 years. In some areas, if you need to, you can add a solar panel on top of this assembly. But in most cases, the battery will last about 5 years. The next project I have is the vacuum pump station upgrade. So again, this goes back to that 2024 study where they identified the need to upgrade all 13 vacuum pump stations. Of course, we've done a fee for that project, a 250 fee for Lakeland Woods residents. We're sequestering those funds for that project specifically. And we've got legal counsel working on the procurement documents so we can proceed with a design build. It's going to be very important for us to figure out the right financing mechanism for this project. It's a large project. We're talking about at least $23 million. There could be grant opportunities out there. There may also be legislative directed funding, which would require some cooperation with this board and the Orange County Board. So staff will come back with any requests. We want to get that squared away before we proceed forward. And my last item for capital projects is the Wilderness Water Plant Phase 2 expansion. This is in the preliminary engineering stage. We've started, one of our consultants on investigating the activated carbon treatment that we've talked a lot about over the past several months. And that will take care of taste and odor, disinfection byproducts, and some of the future emerging contaminants that are even regulated. Also included in the project, so raw water storage, pretreatment facilities, finished water storage. And the idea is that all these improvements will build on what we just wrapped up with the Phase 1 improvements. This is another one. It's a high cost. We're estimating $31 million. So there's a lot of discussions that have to take place between staff and the board about how we proceed with that. Also, along the lines of capital projects, we posted a position for a capital projects manager. The intention would be that they would manage these projects with the consulting engineers all the way from design to completion. We'll see what kind of turnout we get on that job posting.
Okay, sir, sure. Back to the vacuum pump station upgrades. Is that a whole hog or none, or if you get partial funding, can you start with some of them?
It's going to be up to us how we define the project. Currently, it's envisioned as the whole thing. That's just how the engineering firm looked at it back in 2024. That's not how we have to proceed. We can prioritize based on their recommendations and based on our own experience, depending on what kind of funding we have. And the last item I had here, on the consulting engineers, those contracts we have now are expiring in May and June. So we'll be going out soon with an RFP for additional contracts, looking at these projects we have, making sure we have the right consultants to take care of this. Any questions on that?
All right, so lead service line inventory.
Right. So, last month we sent letters to some customers saying that they have an unknown service line. For most of those, it would be the second time they've received that letter. And this is based on a requirement of EPA's lead and copper rule revisions. So they mandated that all public water systems put together an inventory of all their water service lines, that's from the main to customer's house or business or whatever it may be, to determine what that material is and make sure it's not lead. Over the past few years, staff has worked in the office and in the field to come up with that inventory. We submitted the initial inventory in 2024. And since then, we've done some work to identify unknowns that we had in the initial inventory. And we'll continue to work on that over the next couple of years to get rid of the rest of those unknowns and reclassify them as non-lead. We've published quite a bit of information on our website, including a link to the inventory so customers can pull up the map and search for their address and see what material their service line is. And there's also a survey on the website in case they see that we don't know what their service line material is and they happen to know, they can provide that to us. I don't think we've received a lot of calls this year about those letters, so that tells me that we've done a decent job explaining the whole process. But if there's any recommendations for improvements to the outreach materials, we'd be glad to hear this. That's all I have.
So far in the work they've done, we've not discovered any of that.
That's right.
We've not found anything about that. So we're hoping that that's how this finishes out. We don't think we have any flood, but we still have to dig up quite a few to make that final determination.
So if we find one with lead, we're responsible from the main to the crock, and then they're responsible from the crock to the house?
So in 2027, we owe VDH a replacement plan. If we come across any lines that have to be replaced, we lay out a plan to replace a certain percentage of those every year. Now, most likely, we're not going to find any lead. The final frontier, so to speak, is Lakewood Woods. And we've got plenty of staff experience that tell us that everything's going to be plastic and copper. But we have to go through the exercise of digging. Don't expect to find any lead, but there is a process in place to do those replacements.
All right. Okay, item 7H is resolution that Tim talked about earlier. That just gets this is done to make our banks and our legal set. You've got the resolution in front of you. Does anybody care to make a motion to approve it? I'll move to approve it. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Let's get a roll call on this.
Coppedge.
Aye.
Davy.
Aye.
Elliott.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye. Okay. So, this is 5-0.
When we replace Trace, we'll be coming back to revise this again to add something back on. Thank you.
General manager.
All right, Mr. Chairman, just a few things. You'll see page 12 of your package, Tracy put in there about a board retreat. At last month's meeting, there was some discussion about the board conducting a retreat focused on critical issues regarding the authority. They sent out a poll. The majority that responded to it were in favor of this taking place on Thursday, January 29th of this year. And so at this point, we've secured the conference room over at the airport to use, if that suits the board, but we just need to see, will that date work for the board, or at least do you want us to move ahead with that? That's what we have at this point. It'll be the 29th, that's a Thursday, starting in the morning, over at the conference room at the airport, or whatever length of time the board felt like meeting that day. We cover critical items, hear from the board what they expect from staff, share with the board what we see coming down the pipe, that sort of thing.
2 weeks then.
Without
Next Wednesday.
Yes, sir.
Does that work for everybody? Okay.
We'll go ahead and secure that room and plan to start about 8:30, 9 o'clock that morning. We'll say 8:30 that morning.
Well, let's say 9 o'clock.
Let's say 9
That's
o'clock.
what it says here.
Actually, won't step into come to it, so we'll say 9 o'clock. I will give him,
Yeah.
he'll have to leave on Monday.
He's kind of slow.
It's not that, he just gets down and
So
travels.
are we gonna have lunch brought out?
We'll have lunch brought up, we'll have lunch brought.
Okay.
We'll get you a short menu to look at ahead of time so you can make your choices. They could feed you something you wouldn't want.
All right, so that's 2 weeks from today, 9 o'clock.
Yes.
At the airport.
Yes.
Very good.
Next item, just wanted to make you aware that what's called the Northern Piedmont region, as defined by DEQ, is currently under a drought watch. So that Northern Piedmont region is made up of Culpeper County, Greene County, Louisa, Madison, Orange, Rappahannock Spotsylvania, and Stafford counties, and the city of Fredericksburg. There are currently 61 counties, 18 cities under a drought watch in Virginia. There's 22 counties and 13 cities that are already under a drought warning. It's been that dry so far this last few months. And there's only 12 counties and 7 cities currently not under anything. We do need rain. It's not a critical issue. I just wanted to make you aware that's where we stand on DEQ's watch list at this point. We should have plenty of water in the river and plenty of water, hundreds of millions of gallons passing by the gate each day. So it's not anything that's critical, but I wanted you to be aware of it. The next item, our meeting next month in Madison, we're going to need to move the location. We were notified that there's a conflict with their meeting room for a meeting they need to have. So we're going to move down the road about 4.5 miles. And the fire hall has a big conference room area that would be more than adequate for the board meeting. So we're going to move the February meeting to the Madison Fire Hall. So that's north of where we normally come to the board of supervisors by 4.5 miles on the right. You can't miss it. It's a big brick fire station.
1223 North.
1223 North. So we'll plan to have the February meeting at that location. From what we understand, there are no other conflicts throughout 2026, except that. So we'll remind everybody of that as we get closer to the February meeting.
And that's the 18th?
19th. February 19th.
I'm sorry.
February 19th. Next time, just a reminder, I think we received back 2 of the financial disclosure forms from board members. We do need to get the rest of them back from you as soon as we can. The last item, last page in your agenda package is our financials. We're wrapping up the year, that's through December. We're finishing the year in decent financial position. So we started off slow. We didn't get the revenue we thought because we inserted rate increases later than we thought. But overall, we're finishing out very strong. And then the last item, Mr. Chairman, I need to read to the board. Mr. Chair, Mr. Chairman and boards, members of the board, for the past 47.5 years, I have had the pleasure and privilege to work in the water and wastewater industry. During this time, I've had the opportunity to work with outstanding colleagues, employees, and board members alike. The RSA board has been exceptionally supportive during my 9 years as general manager, and for that I am deeply grateful. You consistently supported both me and our employees, whom I consider to be among some of the finest I've worked with. RSA is very fortunate to have many employees with 20, 30, even 40 years of service, and they've served diligently in their roles, strengthened by the support of this board. I thank you for continuing to stand behind me. I've also had the privilege of working with excellent legal counsel, and I want to thank Mr. Kalos for his guidance and professionalism over the past several years. He's been a pleasure to work with. When I accepted the role of general manager, I set certain goals to help position RSA for the future. With your support, many of these goals have been accomplished. These include upgrading the Madison and Wilderness water plants with no increase in rates to the customers, moving forward with the replacement of the Madison wastewater plant, identifying and pursuing significant improvements to the Lake of the Woods vacuum sewer system, and upgrading or replacing numerous water and sewer lines and pump stations throughout RSA's multiple systems. We also completed an enhanced rate study, and the board courageously adopted the recommended adjustments, which is an essential step in preparing RSA for future infrastructure needs. Having reached these milestones, I believe it's time for a new leader to guide the service authority into its next phase of progress. Fresh vision will serve RSA well as it moves forward in the years ahead. Therefore, I am planning on retiring effective June 27, 2026. This notice should allow the board ample time to select its next general manager. Respectfully submitted. I thank this board for all the support I have. I'm going to give you ample time. So, just wanted to make you aware of that, sir. That closes my report.
All right, thank you, Tim. Attorney's report.
Gee, that's a tough report to follow. I want to echo Tim's thanks back at him. He's been just great to work with. It's a double whammy for me because I've worked very closely with Trace as well. And we have to try to be efficient. We have a lot of Teams calls. I hope Trace has a hand in training whoever follows him, and Tim does as well. But most of these calls, I ask for a lot of obscure information. I don't care if it's from 1969 or last week or somewhere in between. Usually by the time I check my email after the call, it's all there in a series of emails. So I don't know how he does it, but he's got an amazing memory and some institutional knowledge, and he's always been right, like you said. So thanks to Trace. I'll say more about Tim if I'm unable to talk him out of retiring June 27th. But for my part, I was hoping to come with another oversized PFAS check, but I don't have it yet. But we've done well on the PFAS front, and there has been some communication from the claims administrator since the last meeting that indicates there could be some improvements on that. But either way, I'll keep you posted. I think at this point, whatever else RSA gets is gravy. I'm not sure we expected anything near what we've gotten so far. So it's been it was a good choice by the board, I think, to pursue being a part of that class action. So I'll report more when I know more. And that's all I can say at this point. I'm looking at
Okay. You're not decided.
I am not
Tim,
Do we have a closed session?
do we need a vote for that?
Oh, yeah. We did do a vote.
Do we need a vote? Okay, I must have missed it.
We did a roll call.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
You're already in South Carolina.
I must be.
Yeah. We do have a need for a closed session, Mr. Chairman. I will read the motion and then the board consider adopting that. Motion to enter into closed session at the annual meeting of the Board of Members of the Rapidan Service Authority on January 15th, 2026. I move that the Board of Members of the Rapidan Service Authority enter into closed session for the following pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711, parentheses A, parentheses 1, and parentheses 7, respectively. Discussion and consideration of the retirement of RSA's general manager and consultation with legal counsel and briefings by staff members pertaining to probable litigation, where such consultation or briefing in open meeting would adversely affect the negotiating or litigating posture of RSA. I need that in the form of a motion.
Okay, need a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're in closed session.
Yeah. You gotta go outside, take a car.
Okay, call meeting back to order.
Let me read this into the record, sir. Pursuant to Virginia Code 2.2-3712B, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, and considered in the closed meeting by the RSA board. Did any members of the board believe that there was a departure from the foregoing requirements? Please so state at this time prior to the vote and indicate the substance of that departure that in their judgment has taken place. If there is none, I would ask each board member to certify the foregoing requirements are met by saying aye. Coppedge.
Aye.
Davies.
Aye.
Elliott.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Marshall.
Aye.
Back in open session, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, motion passes 5-0. Anything else to come before the meeting?
No, sir.
Is there a motion to adjourn? All in favor, say aye. Aye. We're adjourned. See you all Tuesday.